Well, guys, Fit Like, how's it going? Today we're gonna have a look at five comics that I've picked out, which I keep coming back to and reading again, even without their runs. I just think they're great. So we'll have a look. The first one we're gonna have a look at is the newest one by far. I mean, it was just last year. It's Airboy #1. Robinson wrote the Starman run in the 90s and is probably best known for it, maybe also best known for butchering the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie. He wrote the screenplay. He actually mentions it in this book. I'm trying to get this so it's not shining at you. He mentions it in this book. The story is basically about the character Airboy, obviously, but it's about the artist Hinkle and Robinson and how they go about coming up with the idea for the story. Vaguely, it's ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. You can see from the cover. I mean, there's booze and they go on a night of debauchery to try and get some ideas together, and it doesn't end well for them. It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. Hinkle especially is great. I mean, it's a little 4-part series, so I would recommend getting it. I think the trade for this was about £15. You can get the books for cover price still, so it actually works out cheaper just buying the books. So don't go for the trade. I don't think there's anything extra in it. I don't see what extra there would be. Sketches maybe, but there is some sketches and stuff in the back of these. So definitely buy this one just as issues. Not worth it in the trade. This is a great book. I really recommend it. Okay, so that was something from last year. These are all ones that I've been reading for years now. We'll start with this. Stray Bullets #1. Recently restarted again. The Killer's storyline finished and we're on to Sunshine and Roses now. But this was the original one. This is #1. El Capitan was Dave Lapham. He wrote a heap of crossed stuff. He did a Caligula run, which I wasn't really impressed with. This is the only thing. Anything from El Capitan that's come out, that's his own company, that I really like. And for some reason, everything else he's done, I've not been that chuffed with or impressed with. But anyway, this is Stray Bullets. It starts you off and you're straight in. There's this little guy here. I try not to give too much away, but there's at least 10 murders in the space of about 20 pages. And I don't think this is worth too much. You should still be able to pick it up. Since it came back, I mean, I think it was out of print for about 10 years, but since it came back, they've done a trade, which is which collects the entire original run of 41 issues for about £30 to £35, and that is a really good deal if you can get away with reading. If you want to read a massive book, I don't think it's too much trouble, especially not for something as good as this. You won't notice, but I really recommend Stray Bullets, and #1 especially. I think #15, the climax of the second arc, is also amazing. It's super violent. It's not super violent. It's not violent for the sake of being violent, but it's a really, really good comic. Dave Lapham's art is amazing, and his writing is really good. You can tell that when he writes this, he has fun with it, and it's what he wants to be doing. So long may he continue to write it, I guess. Okay, next. I don't want to do two of those at once, so let's do this one. This might be one of my favourite comics of all time. Swamp Thing. What was Saga of the Swamp Thing, then just Swamp Thing. #56. It's called My Blue Heaven, and I won't tell you why, but Swamp Thing's been ejected from Earth. He can't get back, so his kind of essence, as it were, his essence within the green has just shot off into space in search of the first kind of planet that it can, that Swamp Thing can regrow himself in, and he's on this planet out in the middle of nowhere. But there are plant forms there. There's life, biological life in the form of plants, and so he comes up, he appears there, and starts creating like the town that he's left behind out of vegetation. Everything's blue. It's the whole issue's in shades of blue, and it's really, really nice, really good little contained story. He starts like creating like people essentially, but they don't move or anything, and there's cars in the street and shops and all that, and he's wandering around kidding on that everything's normal, and you can see him slowly start to lose his mind, and by the end obviously he's completely lost it, he's snapped, and he destroys everything. But I've basically just told you what it's all about. It's a lot better than I've made it sound. But I recommend it. Swamp Thing 56. It's right near the end. I think 64 was the last one, the last Alan Moore one. I think 62 he didn't write. Rick Veitch wrote and drew. Not sure why. It's unnecessary. But this is like a turning point for Swamp Thing. He kind of realises that he does need people and he needs to get back, kind of thing. And then he gets raped by a spaceship, but that comes later. Next one is... it's a Batman one. This is Batman 424. Jason Todd, Robin. This is, I think 426 is the beginning of death in the family. So Jason doesn't have a lot long to live here. But this is like a pivotal kind of issue for him. They start a case, without going into too much detail. They start a case. He becomes emotionally involved. The case kind of falls through in the court, and the guy gets let off with it. Jason's not happy about it. Goes to confront him. Batman tells him not to. He runs off in a huff. Goes to confront, and by the time Batman's there, the guy's just falling off the balcony like we see here. And Batman kind of says, what happened? And Jason's obviously, well, he fell. And then I think it's really up to us. They never really say whether he fell or he fell by Jason throwing him off. But we never really find out, and it's kind of left to your own opinion. But I would have said no, he didn't do it. But now I don't know. I like to think he didn't do it, but now that he's back and everything, you kind of know what he's like more, I guess. Maybe he did do it. I'd like to think he respected Bruce enough not to, but we don't know, do we? And I don't think DC are going to tell us. Maybe they have by now. If anyone knows if they have mentioned this since he's been back and everything, let me know. That would be good. Cheers. Right, one more. And I split these up because I didn't want two Alan Moore ones, one after the other. This is The Mighty Watchmen, number 12, last issue. What can I say about this? Everybody knows the story. Madman Rorschach gets exploded across the Arctic by Doc Manhattan there. This is just the best ending. I mean, it's all. I mean, everybody says Watchmen's great. You have to read Watchmen, but you really do. It is awesome. I love it. I try and read it once a year. I maybe read it a couple of times a year. Took me ages to get it in the issues, but finally did. I think it was 6 that was eluding me for the longest time. The one with Rorschach's mask on the cover, but eventually got them all. I had the trade, and I had about 5 or 6 of these. And I was just reading the trade, so I eventually gave it away, and that was kind of to spur myself on to buy it, and I eventually did. But anyway, Watchmen 12, the ending of what is, well, let's not say it's the best comics run ever, because that's what everybody says, but it is great, and it is one of my favourites. So Yeah, that's Watchmen. Big Alan Moore strikes again. That's it. So we'll just leave you to look with the Firefly book there. But if you've got anything, if anybody thinks that those are good books, write and let me know. If you think they're not good books, write and let me know. But give me a book that you think should have been there instead. Anyway, I tried to keep this below 10 minutes and I've just gone over. Anyway, thanks and we'll see you next time. Cheers.